Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob from 70.3 World Championships in beautiful Taupo, New Zealand. Name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by HOKA, Fly Human Fly, Master Spas, SFuels, right fuel, right time, Deboer Wetsuits, Quintana, and our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, two-time Olympian, two-time Alcatraz champion, and just took second place in the T100 series. Ashleigh Gentle joins us. How you doing, Ash?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Always such a treat. We just got to chat with your lesser half, Mr. Josh Hamburger. He's always fun. He was telling us about that you guys are from here. You guys got a pretty cool adventure after leaving here. Where are you going?
Yeah, so a lot of Josh's family are from New Zealand. So there's a few of them that are, including his parents, that are watching us on the weekend.
How fun is that?
Yeah, and then we're going to the South Island and to see his uncle and, yeah, a few different family members and, yeah, explore a bit of New Zealand.
This is good for you. Had you spent much time in New Zealand?
A little bit, but not as much as I probably should as an Aussie.
Right.
But yeah, I think I've raced here a few times and then been here to see some of Josh's family.
Right.
And then, yeah, thankfully back here to race on Saturday again.
So cool. And now have you been, you just got in last night, so you don't know that you really haven't been on the bike course or any of that stuff yet.
No.
So, but coming off of Dubai, and what impressed me there was, you know, you've got Taylor up the road, but you weren't thinking, okay, I can just sit here and be fine. You wanted to go get her, right? You wanted to win a race,
Yeah.
and ended up getting past and getting third. But sometimes just laying it out there is more important than playing it safe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that race was super tough, but yeah, it was a great race for me until the last couple of K on the run. You know, I could have played it safe and just got second,
Yes.
but I think I am proud of the way I did go for it, and obviously I didn't get the win, ended up getting third because I absolutely capitulated in that last 2K.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah, I can't regret anything from that, and yeah, happy that I at least gave it a go, and yeah, it gave me motivation for next year too.
Exactly. And what I love is you get second in the series, $140,000. That's pretty sweet, not including all the prize money from the different races. And you know, you won Singapore, you won London, fourth in Ibiza, third in Dubai. That's a pretty darn good season.
Yeah, it's great. And obviously the financial incentive too, I guess you kind of I personally think about that after, because I think that
you're a racer.
Yeah, racing the race, and then it's just amazing that we can also be financially rewarded for all the hard work as well.
Well, and it's sort of about time. Right? It's one of those things where you now, when you're part of the whole Olympic thing, you really don't call your own shots. You now, with the Ironman Pro Series and with T100, you can do whatever hell you want. You can, put whatever logos on. You are totally an independent contractor.
Yeah, it's really great. I've definitely thrived off the independence, I think.
Yes.
I really enjoyed my short course career, and yeah, had some good success, and yes, obviously some times that weren't so great either, but I don't regret kind of moving on from that phase of my career, and definitely enjoyed the last few years.
What's hard is knowing when to call it, right? I'm sure after Rio, you don't have the race you want there. It's like, do I really want to commit 4 more years to go to 5 more years to go to Tokyo? And you do, and again, not having the race you want in the Olympics, but sometimes it gives you closure. Okay, I know now it's time to move on.
Yeah, definitely. And it's sometimes, like you said, hard to know what to do, and you're an athlete and you're wanting to achieve what you think you can achieve at a certain distance or at the Olympics. But I got to a point where I did just think to myself, I'm not ending this short course career the way I wanted to, but sometimes that's just life, that's sport. You just have to move on. And at least I kind of went into my my middle distance career, and just thought, let's just go all in on this and see how it goes. And I guess I'm very thankful that my first year in middle distance was quite successful, and I found a lot of joy as well from racing that. And I guess I haven't looked back since. So it's been an exceptionally rewarding last few years, and it's been a lot of hard work, but it's also been really, really enjoyable.
When I look back at the World Tri career, 101 starts, 37 podiums, 15. That's a lot of racing. That's a lot, 101 races in that. But what's cool about that is that makes you tough and makes you're traveling the world, you're living out of a suitcase, and then you're racing the same people on a weekly basis. And a lot of those races don't necessarily have the age group component to it. So it's sort of like we're racing a little bit of a vacuum here, and then we're moving on to another city. So I'm guessing that you enjoy the fact that there's 6,000 age groupers here and who are fans of what you do and also are doing the same sport that you're doing. It's a little different. There's a little different feel when you come to this type of race or T100 than you see at a World Tri. Yeah,
definitely. And, the age groupers are what make this sport what
Absolutely.
It is. And you can't deny that. It's amazing, the atmosphere. And I guess they bring so much to every event. And they are, I guess, the core of triathlon. And the fact that we can, go out on race day and share courses with them is really special. It's extremely unique in professional sport that we can do that with the age groupers, and I think that it brings the sport. It's something very different about the sport that makes it very special. So it's been really amazing to connect with fans and different people within the triathlon community on a different level since moving from short course.
Well, because you can after the race, you can't go play the Masters with Tiger Woods. You can't go play Wimbledon, right? But here, after the race, someone could say, "Hey, how was the wind for you guys at mile 20? What was it like on the run for you guys? How hot was it?" There's a connection that's pretty darn cool.
Definitely, and it's been great, like I said, to connect with different people the last few years. It is sometimes very insular, and even in middle to long distance racing, you can be quite, I guess, stuck in your own little worlds. But it's definitely important to kind of look outside of that at time to time and realize what you're doing is obviously, it's pretty amazing what we can do, but you have to look outside and see that there's definitely more to your life as a professional athlete. And these people out here that are sharing the course with you, have full-time jobs. They might have 3 kids. They're juggling so much. And the fact that I can put in all the hours that they do and still get on the course and smash it, it's
crazy.
It is incredible and definitely inspires a lot of the professionals maybe more than they realize too.
I remember when Paul and Frazier, they used to have these multi-sport camps, and Paul is like, the number of these women who are training more than I am, plus they've got a family, plus they own a business. It's like I have no clue how they're doing this. It's mind-boggling.
It is.
It's crazy. So when you look at the races this year, winning in Singapore and winning in London, do you have a favorite in terms of a favorite win from this year?
I think London was pretty cool. That was a race where I put swim, bike, run all together quite nicely.
Yes.
Singapore was a great win as well, but I wasn't really happy with the complete package. Mm-hmm. I just ran really well in the heat to be able to secure that win, which is obviously great. A win's a win.
And that's what you did, the ultimate goal. But
for me, that complete race, being able to swim, bike and run at a really high level, that's, I guess, what motivates me and gives me a lot of satisfaction. So, that was great. And Dubai definitely probably takes the cake despite actually not winning.
Right.
But, I mean, I learnt a lot from that race and I learned a lot about myself, and it is a race too that gives me a lot of motivation moving forward.
Right.
So sometimes for me, it's not just about winning. It's about, what did you learn? How did you grow? What were you thinking? How was, mentally were you engaged in that race? And in Dubai, I was like 100% locked in. Maybe it tipped me over the edge too far, but
you don't know unless you do that.
Yeah, you learn from those experiences immensely.
Yeah. You learn how much you can push.
Exactly.
That's very cool. Was it hard for you because you didn't get to do Alcatraz this year, right? The T100.
Oh, I did. I did San Francisco T100, which obviously was in conjunction with Alcatraz.
That's right, with Alcatraz.
But it wasn't my best Alcatraz experience, that's for sure. I think maybe I'll just go back to do Escape from Alcatraz.
I was going to say, because you won that twice, and that's. It
was definitely probably my worst experience from this year.
Really?
I felt absolutely horrible and just didn't have a good race. And everyone just kind of kicked my ass. So going back to Australia after that race didn't feel too good. But like I said, sometimes you kind of have to experience those types of races to kind of think, okay, where did I go wrong? How can I improve? And that course on that day probably didn't really suit my strengths, but it's also, we have the opportunity to race all these races around the world that are so different that you have to try and adapt. You have to try and think, okay, this might not suit me entirely, but how can I be better and train for those conditions or those courses? So I feel pretty grateful that we can kind of do what we do and experience the different courses, climates, cultures around the world and see how it goes. But obviously it doesn't feel too good when I came home from San Francisco.
Well, because you're probably thinking, I've won this race twice. I'm used to jumping off a boat is a little different experience for most people. You're like, oh, I've done this a few times. No big deal. Yeah. Yeah,
no, it definitely wasn't my best Alcatraz experience. But I might have to go back and redeem myself.
Yeah, and when I look at just the last couple of years, just when we first, I think one of the first times we met was at the Clash Miami.
Yeah.
Right? And that might have been, was that the longest race you'd ever done up until that point? I think it was 100K, right? It was one of those 100Ks.
It was in between Olympic distance and 70.3 distance, I guess.
Yes.
But I actually had done a 70.3 in Xiamen.
Okay.
In, I guess, end of 2019.
Okay.
And that was actually to qualify for Taupo in 2020.
Oh my God. And then it never happened.
And it never happened. So funnily enough, we're sitting here in Taupo finally.
That is funny.
Yeah, I was still doing short course at that time. And I decided.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I decided to do Xiamen because.
And you won Xiamen. Yeah.
Yeah, Josh was doing it. And
I figured, what the hell?
I just thought, well, World Championship. It's just in New Zealand. That would be super special to try and qualify for that.
Yeah.
And I did qualify for that, but then obviously
5 years later.
the world, everything happened with the world, and Taupo didn't get to host the World Championships that year because of COVID. But I'm here. The World Championships are here. It's finally happening. 4 or 5 years later.
And it was funny when you came to that Clash Miami. It was like, you could tell right away this suits you, right? Because it was, and people were thinking, oh, the time trial bike is going to be new, and this is that course especially. You have to just be in the aero position the whole time and just keep your head down and just riding in circles.
Yeah.
Did you come away from that race feeling like I do like this distance and I think I'm okay on the TT bike?
Yeah, I guess I had experience on the TT bike. At the end of each year, I always do Noosa Tri, but it's Olympic distance, and I never really have that much time on the TT bike. It's kind of like I finish my short course year. I have, I sometimes 1 week, sometimes 5 weeks to get adapted, and then I do Noosa Tri, and then I pack it away for a year.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the big difference coming to to middle distance racing was adapting to that
a little longer
time trial distance, and definitely a lot longer. So Clash Miami was a great introduction because it was that in between distance.
Yeah.
So I did feel really good about that race, and it got me good PTO points to try and get more starts at some of the bigger races later that year. But I definitely still knew I had a lot to prove over the longer distance because it was still probably suited me quite a lot, being that shorter end of the non-drafting race. Yeah.
And what have you won Noosa 10 times? 11 times?
11
year. Now. Okay. 11 times. It's a good way to end the year.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the community and the vibe there is just incredible. The whole of Australia gets around that race, and it's the world's biggest triathlon. So we have 10,000 people or so over the whole week.
Wow! So it's a whole week of racing.
Yeah, it's a big multi-sport festival. So you've got a 5K run, a charity run, a crit race, the ocean swim, and then the triathlon is on the Sunday, which kind of wraps up the whole multi-sport week. And there's a lot of people, a lot of triathletes, a lot of people that just enjoy sport. So it's amazing.
So in 2011, the first ITU event you do, where you get ninth, like your top 10 first time out?
In the World Series race.
World Series race,
Yeah.
WTS. And that had to tell you, okay, I'm in the right place.
Well, yeah, it was interesting because I remember the first World Triathlon Series race I did in 2011 was the London Olympic Test event. So I threw myself in the deep end.
Yes.
And I do remember half of the Australian coaches were like, no, she shouldn't do it. It's too much. It's too much of a big race. And then there was a few of them that were like, just give her a shot. And then ultimately it came down to me because there was a spot open and I had enough points to take that spot. So it's like, yeah, well, why not?
What the hell?
Yeah. And it was great. I mean, I was probably a bit young and dumb, but I did come away with ninth and did really well in that first World Series race. And I think continued to race top tens for, I think, a couple of years.
Yeah.
I was, very consistent on the World Series circuit. So it gave me some incredible experience at a really young age in my early 20s. So sometimes you just need to put yourself in the deep end and you learn hard and fast. But I think that those moments in my career really set me up for times like this when, I'm moving on from short course and I just go, well, I just have to race the best in the world. And the best in the world will show me whether I'm cut out for this or not.
Yeah.
You have to sometimes just learn the hard way. So I think I've kind of carried that with me throughout my whole career, and it sometimes doesn't work out smoothly all the time, but if you're always trying to push yourself and learn, you have the capacity to get better and adapt and just do your best.
I remember one, I forget which pro told me, he says, you win or you learn.
Exactly.
I love that. With this particular course, since you haven't been on this before, but you've raced in New Zealand before, so you know the chip and seal roads and the whole bit. I think there's a couple thousand feet of climbing, but it looks, from what people are saying, is they love the bike course. It's challenging, but it's fair, and that sounds like your type of course.
Yeah, you never feel too amazing on the roads of New Zealand and some of the road conditions. I mean, it's pretty slow, but it's quite similar to a lot of the roads that Josh and I train on in Australia.
Yes.
You don't go out onto a training ride and hit, a high average speed.
Yes.
The road quality is not amazing and there is a lot of rollers. So I do hope that, I guess my experience of growing up on the Australian roads will kind of convert to the same here in Taupo. It is tough. I mean, someone like Taylor Knibb, though, would probably say it's definitely suited to her, laying down the power for one big 90K loop. But it's a nice challenge. I think that it'll be really beautiful out there despite the pain, and I'm looking forward to getting around it as quickly as I can.
So when you look back at your WTS career, what do you look at as your best race?
Oh gosh, now you're challenging me. Probably my hometown race on the Gold Coast.
Yes.
We had the grand final there in 2019.
Yes.
And that was a time where I did win, but I also put together a really good swim, bike and run, and one that was like extremely satisfying. So I would have to say
that's it.
That race.
Yeah, especially with the home crowd. That
yeah,
had to be
for
crazy.
sure. I had lots of people that I guess were an instrumental part of my career that were there, people that I trained with when I was a small teenager, old coaches, family and friends. So you kind of can't beat that feeling of racing successfully in front of those people.
Love it. Ash, have a great race on this weekend. You're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be fun. It was such a great. We got Olympians. We've got 70.3 athletes. We got Ironman athletes. T100 athletes. What a great mix.
Yeah, it'll be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it.
You're totally up for it. Ashleigh Gentle has been our guest. Everybody, again, Breakfast with Bob, World Championship 70.3 from beautiful Taupo. Hold on, we'll be right back.